You're with the Newsmakers. On the panel, Antony Gough and Marg. Well, after maintaining his silence for weeks, former All Black Robin Brook fronted up on Close Up to apologise for allegedly groping a girl and assaulting a boy on New Year's Eve in Fiji. Now, he had a very carefully worded statement, of course, on the television, and he claimed that he couldn't recall what happened at the Dinaroo resort because he had had too much to drink. But he accepts the girls' version of events and a settlement has been reached with the families. What on earth do we make of this, Marg?
Look, you know, I've known Robin Brook for many a year, and he's a really neat guy, a really nice guy. And so when it came out, I was quite sort of taken back because he's always come across as being really well respected, in particular to the other sex. That's what alcohol does, Mike. Isn't it ridiculous? Like, poor thing, didn't even know that he was doing that. I mean, you know, inexcusable, whatever it was that he did do. We are only hearing, you know, her story as such because he didn't remember his side of the story. Yeah. I felt he was genuinely remorseful on that interview, and what more could he do? Like, he's giving her compensation, he's paid for her airfare back. I just think at the time, possibly, you know, his wife obviously wouldn't have been happy as well. You know, this is just another story of a top sports star who perhaps has done something, you know, makes a mistake, and we all make mistakes in our life, as long as we all learn from them, I suppose.
Do you think the fact that it took him so long to come out in public and apologise is a worry? I know that Paul Holmes in the Herald on Sunday last weekend said this is where Robin has gone terribly wrong, particularly when those hideous photos appeared in the Sunday News the week earlier with him essentially naked with a bikini on.
Oh gosh, he's got something to tell us. He's a cross-dresser as well.
Well, he'd lost a bet on this fateful New Year's Eve night in Fiji.
Yeah, but if he didn't, possibly he took so long is because he couldn't recall what he actually did. But he might just be saying that. Who knows? But I mean, what was he supposed to do straight after? Go, look, I'm sorry, but he didn't know what he's sorry for. Like, so obviously having a recollection phase of his memory within that time, and a good lawyer. Yeah.
Well, I suspect the lawyers were the ones telling him to keep his trap shut over the whole affair. And of course, the police investigation in Fiji still hasn't been finally resolved as to whether they're going to take any charges out against him or not. What do you make of it, Antony?
I think just because he's a sportsman, he gets a harder road than little Joe Blow, who might have had too many drinks in town and bowls into somebody that he shouldn't do. I think it's really sad. Sportsmen and high-profile people take a bigger fall than little Joe Public. I think he's done a good job in trying to put things right.
The aspect to it that I find weird, Marg, and you'll have a lot of first-hand experiences in this situation, is when you're dealing with frontline, well-known household names who are wanting to, you know, have a bit of fun in their downtime and maybe hit the terps. There's got to be people there looking after you. And Robin Brook and his wife and family and friends were all partying this night on New Year's Eve in Fiji. Okay, he obviously had drunk so much to the point of no recollection. Why wasn't there someone looking after him and looking out for him that night? Isn't that a worry?
Yeah, well, I guess that, you know, you can't kind of be 100% on, you know, dog watch all the time. And, you know, a classic example is my girlfriend was up in Auckland, and she's high profile, and she went out to a really close friend's birthday, went to a restaurant. She got a little bit loose, started doing some crazy things on the dance floor, and all of a sudden someone snapped her photo. Right. And she just felt it was a complete, you know, like...
Invasion.
Yeah, invasion of it. And she was freaking out, thinking it's going to be in the Sunday paper. Yeah. As in, like, look what this particular person's doing. And I guess, you know, we kind of, you know, once you're in that type of position when you know that, you know, you are I wouldn't say the word celebrity, but you're well known, then people have an idea about how you should behave, and if you go over the top or do anything untoward, they are quick to pounce on you, and it's quick to make a story as well.
It's probably also a reminder of the saga as to how can you be sure your friend is really your friend, because supposedly it was one of these friends in Fiji with Robin Brook who released the photo to the Sunday News, which is a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Well, it wouldn't be a friend of mine if they did that.
Yeah. By the way, Mr. Gough, it has been revealed that Close Up dumped a preliminary interview with the Prime Minister to talk about his great economic reforms in favour of this exclusive with Mr. Brooke. Did Close Up get its priorities right?
No. I think they're playing again to the masses. Picking on celebrities, I think, is an unfortunate thing that our media sometimes get into, and I think you need to balance it up. What really was of matter to the nation, I believe, is our economy coming out of a recessionary time. That's the time we should be really focusing and saying, let's get it right. Let's tell everyone of the options. I don't think they got it right.
Okay. Now, social networking sites continue to make headlines as outlets for abuse and organised hate, hot on the heels of the great cyclist hoo-ha in Christchurch, aka Sign of the Tākahi. It's Burnside High School that's been under scrutiny this week, and the school principal has been the target of mass abuse and threats against him on Facebook. What do we make of this malarkey, Marg?
Gosh, look, I'm a Facebook user. I don't know, like, you know, you kind of have, there's a real fine line between freedom of speech and you know, posting stuff. But I think, you know, it probably needs to have more, the Facebook network needs to run it in terms of having guidelines and rules. Same as Trade Me, what they do, because, you know, you can't go around saying that sort of, you know, like really quite abusive comments about a person. I think it's really malicious.
It's interesting that both in the case of Mr. Freeman and the cyclists, and now in the Burnside case, there have actually been threats of harm directed at individuals on these internet sites. Do you think it's perhaps time the police make an example of someone and charge them with threatening to harm a person?
I think it'd be a good idea. I really do. I think it's too easy to be anonymous in the background and hurl abuse at people like that. I believe there should be an example made of them. It's unsatisfactory.
Yeah. I wonder if this whole hoo-ha with Burnside High also raises questions about who would want to be a school principal in this day and age. I mean, if a school principal can't change the rules without hundreds of kids going berserk about the principal on Facebook, where are we at? I mean, if a principal wants to take away a bit of mufti or a bit of morning tea, shouldn't they be entitled to?
Yeah, I mean, they're the leader. They're at the helm. So obviously they're doing it in the best interest of the school and where they see the school moving to. So, you know, you've just got to ensure that, you know, you've got your leader is actually is well respected amongst his or her peers as well, and that everyone's in it together. It's the same as running a team. Absolutely.
All right, coming up very shortly, we are going to look at the history book that is being funded by the Community Board. It's a history book about the board. Also, Arise the Crusaders. A new season is before us. Do stay with us.